Welcome one more day to Harmony, a space to know deeper the Tree of Lives, the authentic reality. And today I suggest we wonder what keeps the Tree of Knowledge of Good and Bad going, what gave birth to that false reality. And reflecting on the original teachings of the Tree of Lives that really come from within, I came to realize that the Holy One simply opened a space to let out everything that was not divine, everything that was contrary to the divine love. This is how some entities stepped outside the Tree of Lives, originating the Tree of Knowledge. Now, this is something a bit deeper than it seems. Years ago I had a vision while my physical body was sleeping. I have to say that sometimes my being of true light shows things to me, visions and episodes. There can be several years between visions, and many times I don't know what they are about. But it always comes a point in which I understand. And this is what happened with a vision I had around 2012. I was shown, while sleeping my body, a region of what I interpret as the black space of the universe, in which there was a huge region that looked like a black hole, but similar to the eye of a reptile. It wasn't an eye, but it looked exactly like the eye of a gecko. It's a type of reptile that we find in Indonesia and in Spain and other places. Here in Spain we call it salamanquesa. It's very little here. It has funny paws and it can walk over the walls and the ceilings because they are sticky. And here they are not poisonous. But in Indonesia these animals are larger, and if they bite you, they can cause an infection. Now their eyes, in some species, are exactly like the region I saw. They have a fractal harmonic pattern which is beautiful. It's very hypnotic, has an attractive quality, just as this region of the universe. And this made me realize that in the Tree of Knowledge there are regions that literally attract innocent beings of light. Because in that vision I saw as well how sparks of light, which I interpreted as beings of light, enter the dense atmosphere of some obscure planet. I ignore which one. But the sparks of light came into the planet and they got trapped inside. That's what I knew intuitively in the vision. And now after the years I realized that there are and there were beings of light coming from the Tree of Lives, from the original source, that being innocent without experience felt attracted by this sort of region, and they were sucked, so to say, coming to incarnate in planets like this, in which there is madness, duality, because we experience a dual nature. Remember that this false reality was the result of modifications made by the first architects that modified the tree of life, changing the genome of the species, making other types of species, some of which came to have divine light inside. That was the duality. And many of those species woke up because of divine light and made war against the first architects. Thus they came to be known as carriers of light. Prometheus, Lucifer, and also the serpent. They were rebellious. But no matter how much they battled, they always failed and sank deeper into darkness. Our society is very Luciferic as well. Scientists battled against the fallen forces of nature with technology, but they never solve any problem in depth. So we must know what kind of nature we are dealing with. The nature of the fallen architects is dual, and it acts like a sort of virus in the psyche. In ancient times there were two symbols. One was the serpent, which represents the hot, poisonous nature, which is hatred, vengeance, the lust of the senses, persecution of pleasure, even inflicting pain on others in order to gain pleasure. All those mad impulses have a passional characteristic. But then there are impulses that are completely cold. These are symbolized by the scorpion. The cold venom of the scorpion are sadness, cold behaviors, lacking compassion, lacking love, true love. Apathy, the lack of true will, all of which makes us vulnerable, makes us slaves. And this is how others become lords, like the first architects who began to regard themselves as Lord God, while the rebellious beings consider themselves as gods, like gods. If you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, you shall be like gods. They fell into the same trap, because someone that has no ego, no experience of great darkness, has no need to regard himself or herself as a god, and even less God himself. In the tree of lives there is no God. There is a divine one manifesting in everyone, because there is only one and many at the same time. That's the paradox. And the only way of cancelling the poisonous duality of the serpent and the scorpion is to go back to our original nature. Because now we have these bodies that have fallen genomes, and this means we see reality with different eyes. Remember that passage in the Acts of the Apostles when Shaul fell from the horse, from the emotions of violence, because he persecuted the followers of the Messiah, or the Messiahs, because there were already manifestations of Yeshua all over. And he also had a vision of Yeshua, who wondered, why you persecute me? And after that, we read that the scales of his eyes fell off, the reptile scales. he began to see reality with different eyes. Unfortunately, Paul, trying to reach the Gentiles, used concepts that were embedded into the religious system, which is full of reptilian attitudes and concepts, such as the idea of Kyrios, Lord, or Theos, God, which has nothing to do with the true divine one. That was the mistake of Paul. He had good intentions, but the strategy was completely mistaken because the results were completely chaotic. His teachings were misinterpreted, and eventually a religion emerged which combined ideas from ancient Egypt, Babylon, and the Judaic religion, which was already fallen as well. Therefore, we need to see reality with the innocent eyes of the divine child, not with the eyes of religion, politics, or fallen science. If you don't become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of the divine forces, the true Elohim harmonized by the divine birth of unconditional love, pure life, light that expands the conscience, and pure serenity. And the divine child does not hide anything. Paul spoke of mysteries. However, we were also told everything that is hidden will be uncovered, because there is no mystery in the tree of lives. We are what we are, and we show without fear everything we are. However, the scorpions and serpents hide under the rocks. They can be attractive, hypnotic, but also stingy. They are poisonous. And our society is full of that poison. Therefore, we need to feel every day and every moment the innocence of the divine child. Dedicate even moments during the day to get into contact with that pure vision of the child that is not proud, does not try to impose anything on anyone, does not criticize or regard anyone as inferior or superior. In the tree of lives, there is no one above anyone else. We are the manifestation of the One. And the divine child does not struggle for pleasure either, because the fullness of life emanates from within, and it can even sustain the body and heal the body when it's manifested without obstruction. And therefore only divine oneness can take us out of the hell that is this dual experience. Therefore, the key is always divine simplicity. Even though some of these ideas are complex, especially for those who do not understand from experience. This is why I decided to open a new channel in which I show principles of harmonia in the domains of health, nutrition, inner knowledge, but in a completely aseptic way, so everyone can understand, with shorter videos maybe. The channel is Vital in Harmonia. I'll start uploading videos. I'll try to translate them into English or even make them in English as well. I'll also open a web associated to that channel. And meanwhile, I'll continue with this channel. And until the next time, manifest your divine child.